I work on the way in which populations evolve as a result of selection acting on many genes, often distributed across a broad geographic area. So I'm interested in interactions between genes and interactions across space. Many unsolved questions in my area. One is, why is there so much genetic variation? At the level of phenotype, people's height, appearance, behaviour, whatever, varies enormously, and much of that variation is inherited, and we really don't know why that variation exists. It's typical of almost any population, of any species. And at the genetic level, we know that there's a huge amount of molecular variation, that if you look at any two DNA sequences taken from a population, line them up and scan along, you find that 1 in 100, 1 in a few thousand sites will vary. And so if you add that up over the whole genome, in the human genome there would be of the order of a few million differences between the two genomes that each of us carry. Millions and millions of variable sites. We actually don't really understand what determines the extent of that variation and how that variation affects things we observe, behaviour, health, whatever. Take an example from the seminar I gave today, which was about artificial selection. Right? So, a huge impact on both, the existence of civilization is largely down to the development of agriculture, which is down to domestication of many crop species, domesticated animals and so on. Obviously a huge impact on society. And recently, over the last century, 2 centuries, improvements in agricultural productivity, a lot of those have been due to improvements in crop yield, improvements in yield of milk yield or whatever, to the success of selection. But actually, if you look into it further, the scientific contribution to that has been important, but equally important has simply been being systematic, being organised, doing the statistics right. So milk yields have increased partly because of modern genetics, modern quantitative genetics, but also partly simply being very focused on choosing the best cattle, breeding from those, improving the stock. So science in a very broad sense obviously has made a vast contribution. It's, I think, at the moment unclear how much the modern genetic engineering, genetic technology will contribute to this, as opposed to the more general traditional quantitative genetics. A lot of human progress, to my mind, is about our better understanding of the world, and a lot of that is science. I mean, how do you distinguish scientific progress, human progress? And I'm a bit uncomfortable about the idea of progress. People would argue a lot about what we mean by that. I mean, it's kind of a political question as much as anything. I mean, to my mind, the main contribution of science is simply understanding the world better. I mean, not anything economic, not anything, practical in the narrow sense, but actually knowing what's going on around us and where we are in the universe. So that's progress, I think.